Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Premium Takes. We are your hosts, Jeff the Giant Fan, Mac the Giant Fan, and Adam AC are here to give you Premium Takes. Guys, how are you doing today? Introduce yourselves if I messed it up, but please, how are you guys doing today on this Memorial Day weekend?
Well, I'm keeping cool, man. Trying to sit in the air conditioning today a little bit. I was out in that sun all day yesterday, so I'm definitely just kicking back, trying to keep cool today, man.
That is
Otherwise, be
great.
a nice, relaxing weekend. Look forward to the long weekends, man, because I work all during the week and I get an extra day off on Monday, so I'm gonna be looking forward to that too.
Max got a day with his pillow tonight, folks.
And I
Sleeping.
just enjoyed a nice time with my some family time with mama and pops. Got some nice sun out there, so it was a beautiful Sunday. Nice to get to catch some sun, especially when it's been a little rainy lately. But you know, just nice to be able
Well,
to. Yes, let's go, double play,
hey,
baby.
the Mets have done something well, as you can tell. Jeff is a Met
Just
fan. He
turn
is
to double
locked in.
play.
Let's
Me,
go.
I was locked into Stranger Things. Yes, that's right, folks. I am into Stranger Things. It came out, and
How many
boy, is
episodes
it!
are you in?
I am five deep, six four deep.
Uh,
Well, four deep
don't
technically
spoil it.
because I got to rewatch. Got to rewatch with the wifey. So, yeah, it's getting
I,
crazy. It's getting
I'm at the
crazy.
start of episode 4.
Ooh,
Or no, I'm at the start of episode 5.
it
Start of
is
episode 5.
insane. People, if you haven't watched Stranger Things, I recommend getting on that bandwagon because boy, oh boy, I
It
rewatched
went to
season
another
three.
level.
I rewatched season three to then get into season four to remind it, and wow, it's going crazy. Anyways, enough of this pontificating about you know uh, damn Stranger Things. Let's get into some sports moments while we have all this days. Right, Memorial Day brings out the best in spring, and a lot of things happen during Memorial Day. So why not? Let's bring up some memories of the past. You guys got any? I know I have one, but I'll let you guys throw any memories you got, good or bad, out there.
Mac, you want to kick it off?
You can take it away, Jeff.
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to start with a bad because it just popped in my head, and it's one of those moments, ironically, with the team that we're watching right now, the New York Mets. Go all the way back to 2006 in the National League Championship game, game number 7. Mets were probably the
It's a
best
tough
team in
one.
the major leagues this whole time, that season. Went into game 7. Scott Rowland smashes a ball to deep left center, and Andy Chavez makes one of the greatest catches I have ever seen in a major league game. Throws out, makes it, doubles him up, 2 outs. Mets still have the lead. Mets are still down by at least a run. And what ends up happening in the next inning? They go down quietly, just like that after such amazing momentum. And then we all remember what happened at the end of the game. Strike 3, looking to Carlos Beltran. The moment that will live in New York Mets and unfortunately for Carlos Beltran, infamy. That's gonna be the one
Carlos
memory that everybody
Beltran.
remembers.
What
Everybody
a name.
remembers Carlos Beltran for the
What
looking
a
at the
name.
strike 3 in Game 7, and that was probably the most crushing loss as a Mets fan I've ever experienced. When we were clearly the better team, and if we made it to the World Series that year, if we just won that game, the Tigers weren't beating us in '06. The Mets were going to become the world champions that year, and it's just so horrible that after that electric, amazing, fantastic catch. You remember that catch, right, Mac? The one where Andy Chavez stuck his arm over the fence, reeled it back in, threw it to first base, doubled him up. Mets Shea Stadium's
I
going
absolutely
nuts,
do.
nuts the entire time, and they just go down quietly in the bottom of the inning, do nothing, and then they go out with a whimper in the end of the game. It's just such a crushing loss. Always remember that, just for the wrong reasons, and probably one of the worst losses I've ever experienced as a sports fan. So yeah, I just go back to that. Game 7, 2006, NL Championship game. The Mets don't get it done against the St. Louis Cardinals, the eventual World Series champions.
Well, yeah, I definitely remember that, Jeff, for sure. That's a good one. A good one to bring up, even though, like you said, it's some, not a great memory for us Mets fans, but it was still a fun one to bring up. Well, I thought about one. since we're not going to have much WWE news to talk about of anything of substance today, I figure I'll go back in time to the time machine and talk about an old friend, a good WWE memory that always sticks out to me because you know how WWE books matches every year at some point in time when they'll book it and call it the greatest match ever, the biggest match ever. Well, this is a match that truly and genuinely was the biggest match, probably, especially at this time, and maybe still one of the biggest matches of all time right now. Take you back to 1990, WrestleMania 6. Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior for the world title. Hulk, Hulk Hogan, man, had built this aura around him of just invincibility, the immortal one. You know what I mean? It seemed like no one could stop Hulk Hogan. And this guy named the Ultimate Warrior came around and he became kind of bigger than life as well. And then it was just a matter of time. When are we going to get Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in the ring? WrestleMania 6, 1990, it finally happened, man. And the unthinkable happened. Whereas the once that looked like impossibility of Hulk Hogan losing a match, especially a title match, it looked impossible, man. And then Ultimate Warrior was the guy that just knocked him off on the biggest stage, and it was just the electricity. I mean, Ultimate Warrior had already built himself up really big, but that took him completely over the top, man. When he was able to knock off the immortal Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 6, man. That's just one of those memories I like to always think back as a wrestling fan that I'll never ever forget was watching Hulk Hogan lose that title at WrestleMania 6 to the guy that was pretty much set to become the next big thing in wrestling at the time. So that's what I got for memories this week.
That's going
on, Slay?
That is a great memory. And remember, we are the four horsemen of YouTube, even though we're riding with three today. Soon our fourth horseman will be with us, Zion Zenith. But I just want to say what's up to the people in the chat. Taj, Big Play, how you guys doing? Nice to see you tonight on this beautiful Sunday. My sports moment. I'm going there, fellas. We're in the NBA, so I think you know where I'm headed. The Malice at the Palace, baby.
Yes.
This is one of those ones that will live in for me because, you know, the Detroit Pistons were the best team in basketball in the Eastern Conference. So were the Pacers. The Pacers, go watch that documentary, man, on Netflix. That thing tells a lot of things that you may not know.
Yeah.
But the Malice at the Palace, if you're not familiar, people out there, it's between the Pistons and the Pacers, two of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. They went at it in a big Eastern Conference Finals the year before to advance to the conference championship, or at least one of those games, and they hated each other. This is great. I love when teams hate each other because you get things like this. Although the Malice at the Palace is not something you want to see, but you want to see the teams fighting. Well, anyways, long story short, the Pistons and the Pacers tempers are flaring, and Meta World Peace, a.k.a. Ron Artest, kind of gets in the face of Ben Wallace. They exchange words, they go over to the scorer's table, and there he is, Ron Artest, lying on the scorer's table, and Big Ben Wallace throws his towel at him. Now, that's not what sets it off. What sets it off is some schmuck in the stands threw a beer at Ron Artest. Now, I don't agree with going after a guy in the stands because he's probably tiny, which he was. If you look at the video, the guy they punched out, you know, he wasn't that big. But the point was, it was one of those moments where you never thought you'd see, you know, a player go up and knock somebody out in the stands. So it was pretty crazy. And not to mention Steven Jackson got involved and Wallace. It was just one of those insane moments I'll never forget.
Absolutely agree, man. I agree with what you said too. Like, it's not condoning going up in the stands after a fan, but at the same time, it just also goes to show you that we're all just humans, and this natural instinct just took over there. Honestly, you know, somebody threw a beer at you, you know what I mean? You just react. It's just a natural reaction.
So he got banned for the year.
Yeah, well, I don't condone the actions. You don't condone it. But at the same time, I always got it. I was one of those people that always understood too that it's just human instinct, man. It just took over right there in that moment, and you're not necessarily thinking about the right thing to do. You're just thinking about reacting to a situation.
I'm gonna go beat that guy who threw a beer at me.
You just got fire in your eyes the entire time. Like, I'm just
that, or he had beer in his eyes. You never know. You know. But yeah, I mean, you got any thoughts on that, Jeff? I mean, it was probably a big moment for
Oh,
everyone.
that moment was probably one of the most insane moments I've ever seen in a sporting event. I mean, you never, you always think that something like that never could happen, but that game, and the funny part is that game was completely over at that time. There was
Right.
really no reason to have like any type of physical play going on because I think it would believe the Pacers already had the game in hand, and I think
Yeah.
there was a physical hard foul that happened before, and there was already some chippiness going on. And then Ron Artest went on the scorer's table, started laying down, and then some schmuck decided to throw a beer or soda on top of him, which escalated everything that happened. And you see Steven Jackson going in there, Ben Walsh, you see Jermaine O'Neal throwing a haymaker on a
Oh
fan
man,
that
those
doesn't
three.
on the court. I mean, it was
Oh my
insane.
god,
It is insane. And then you see a bunch of
I
these
don't even
fans
laugh at that
where
guy.
they were disrespectful because they started throwing popcorn and soda and all these things when the Pacers started to leave into the locker room. That was disgusting. I mean, it was horrible showing by the fans. It was despicable in a way why they would do that. I mean, the players when you have somebody throw something on you, you want to try to keep your cool because of the ramifications that could
Yeah,
happen.
it was
But at
Ron
the same
Artest
time,
though.
yeah, I mean, when you have at the same time when somebody throws something at you, there's nothing going on in your mind but like I want to find that person, I want to teach him a lesson, I want to knock him out, I want to punch his lights out because you do something like that, which is absolutely disgusting. So, I mean, you understand why this would happen, and it's just like something that it's like out of the Twilight Zone because you never think something like this would happen at a sporting event, and then there you go, aka the Malice at the Palace.
I want to touch on Mac's memory real quick. I thought that was an interesting one that you brought up about Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior because we don't know. You know, you're right. That was not the mega powers, but if there was somebody that was going to beat Hulk Hogan, it needed to look like Ultimate Warrior. It needed to
Yeah,
be a guy that had muscles on top of muscles. You know, coming out of his head, face, where you name it, he had a muscle coming out of there, right? And it was kind of interesting. A guy like Warrior who didn't have great mic skills. You know, was a big
no,
dude and his career, you know, kind of was like a meteor. It came and it went very fast. Warrior. So to have that iconic moment with a guy who we all remember, Ultimate Warrior, Warrior, however you want to call him, I'll remember him as Ultimate Warrior, and how Sting kind of kept his legacy going. But Warrior is still to this day probably in some people's top five wrestlers of all time. So to beat Hulk Hogan at an epic point of wrestling, where Hulk Hogan was, like Max said, the man, probably one of those things we shouldn't forget and won't forget.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That was just like I said. At that point in time, there was never a match that, at least for me as a young fan, at that time, 1990, I'm a young kid. I'm like 13 years old, so I'm like, that was about as big a match as I had ever seen watching
I
wrestling. I
was
mean, for
6.
me, stuff myself personally. So yeah,
Shows
that
you
was
how
just
much how old I am. But
that
yeah,
was
man,
pretty huge.
that's great. And as for the Jeff, yours, the Mets, I feel like the Mets have had a lot of moments where your heart's in your throats. You know, I mean, the 2015 they went to the World Series, they lost. You know, I mean that's heartbreaking. You know, especially for this area, right? I feel like the Mets. I wouldn't say are the Jets, but like they just something always follows that team.
it's
And
Ets. It's the Ets. Any team with Ets at the end of it is just freaking cursed. Bad
you're
thing
right.
always happens to them.
Ets, Jets, Nets, Mets, all them. The Vets actually don't have any. That's not a team, people. I'm just making that up. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's you never know. Somebody might look the Vets. They'll put in the comment section like, "Who are the Vets?" You know. But hey, man, I think the Mets. They got. I think I hate to have that legacy because I feel for you guys. You know, I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm not the Yankee fan that hates the Mets because I feel like the Mets you can coexist in New York, the baseball teams, until they get to the World Series. That is, and it's one sport where the teams can have a better probability of getting to the World Series against each other and have done it a couple times than in the NFL. We're still waiting for the Giants and Jets to be good enough to even think about that happening.
Yeah.
But if you guys
But
don't
yeah.
have any other sports moments, we can move on to something else.
We can move on.
Okay, so while we're on MLB and it's on our minds, why not let's talk about the MLB. Um, the Mets, the Yankees, league news. Obviously, the Mets are playing right now. The Philadelphia Phillies down over in City Field. It looks like SNY. They have all over. So, what do you guys take on the Mets? I'm liking what they're doing this season. I hope they keep it up. I really do believe their fan base needs this. The city needs it. And the Mets are due. I feel the Mets are due. To have a solid year this year. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, the Mets, man, right now, like they said, they're currently playing right now. Here we are in the bottom of the third. They're up 3-1. I mean, they're just finding ways to get it done, especially against this Phillies team. They seem to be really dominating the Phillies this year. I mean,
31-17 is pretty good, man.
this is about what the fifth series already against the Phillies, I believe, this season already. I think fourth or
Yeah.
fifth series, and they won each of them so far. Even right now, I mean, once again, injuries piling up on this team a little bit, but they just keep finding ways. They're resilient. You got Brandon Nimmo out in the lineup for the second night in a row. With he has some kind of a little bone bruise or something. I think nothing too major, but apparently he's just a little aggravating. He hasn't been able to be in the lineup the last couple of days. So he's been putting Guillermo in the leadoff spot. He's been doing great. And this team, they're just getting it done, man. The starting pitching is holding up good enough, and Jake DeGrom, from what I understand, is getting closer and closer to maybe a possible return.
Wow, well, that would
So
help boost the lineup, huh?
yeah, absolutely it would. I mean, just imagine what he can do when he gets out there, man. This team's been holding it down already all this time without him, but
Sounds
yeah.
like
So
something took place. As you
well,
can hear,
I'm
we're all
seeing
in a
Pete
delay
Alonso
here.
seeing Pete Alonso up the bat right now. I don't know if he did something that I'm about to see something cool. I'm about to shoot and just knock one
I
out
hope
on the plate
so.
or something.
It looks
But
to me like, as an outsider, as an outside Met fan looking in, that it just seems like Buck Showalter's presence has really been felt with this team. I know they had
I agree.
Collins a few years ago, and I forget who the damn manager was last year. But he was,
Rojas.
yeah, well, he was terrible. And my point is that as a guy observing, Buck has come in and made this team feisty. They don't give up, they don't cave, and they're kind of tough, and they're kind of gritty. And I'm not sleeping on the Mets. I know the Yankees are doing pretty well themselves, and blasting the ball out of the ballpark. But if I'm the Yankees, and I'm the rest of the league, these Mets, don't sleep on them. They're playing pretty well, and I feel like they're taking the personality on of their manager.
Yeah, I mean, Buck Showalter, in my opinion, is the biggest pickup this off season for this Mets team, man.
Manager of the
It's
year
just
right
paying
now.
dividends. It's just paying
Absolutely.
dividends.
Absolutely.
Like
Buck
I said,
Showalter has been fantastic pickup.
it's been masterful what I've been seeing from this Mets team, man. Like I said, between the pitching, the guys at the plate, I mean, they're just getting it done, man. All aspects, man. I mean, you've got to had to bring a couple guys up from minors from the farm system a little bit. Got Mazikas behind the plate tonight, catching again. I mean, the kid, I mean, he hasn't been off to a big start. You know what I mean? But he's been solid, holding up, and key situations, and it's just this team is fun to watch, man. They're an exciting team to watch this season, man. And I got a feeling they're not going to fall apart this year. I got a feeling no matter what, they're going to overcome any adversity that continues to come their way, and just keep finding a way to get it done, man. They look like they just have the mental toughness this year to get the job
I
done.
so I was gonna ask you that. I was gonna say, do you think, being that they're off to this good start, they can maintain it throughout the year? But you answered that question beautifully about you thinking that they can weather the storm this season. So I'm hoping. Jeff, anything?
I mean, absolutely. What you guys are pretty much saying. I mean, this team is absolutely resilient. They hit for power. I mean, Pete Alonso drew a walk, leads the league right now in RBIs with 46, 12 home runs. Jeff McNeil, who had a very shaky last year, he's come back and has a great year so far. He's been that consistent hitter on the bat. Brandon Nimmo's been great on the leadoff hitting. Marte was a good addition. I mean, Lindor's having a nice bounce back season, but I mean, the pitching staff. Most teams, when you lose two impact starters, the level of a Max Scherzer and a Jacob DeGrom, your pitching staff suffers. The Mets pitching staff seems to still be incredibly strong with guys like Taijuan Walker, Chris Bassett, and Carlos Cookie Carrasco holding it down right now at the top of that rotation. And what Mac was pretty much saying, this team I don't think is going to get worse. I think they're going to get a hell of a lot better. Because, I mean, they're going to get some of their big-time players back eventually at the end of the season, as long as they can find a way to stay healthy And there's probably going to come where they're around the trade deadline where they're going to make some type of move to add another power hitter in here to give us a little bit more of a support behind Pete Alonso to give him that other extra power hitter, make it a little bit easier for Lindor. He doesn't have to be that that number 4 hitter right behind Alonso. So I think this team is only going to get stronger as the season goes on, and I think a lot of these teams have got to watch out for this New York Mets team. They're not going to go away, and they're only going to get stronger as the season goes on.
What's going on, Ash and Logan in the chat?
Ash and Logan, fellas.
Ash,
welcome,
good to see you in the chat, bro. Long time,
welcome.
man. How you
Good
doing?
to see you
Quick question
guys.
about the Mets before we move from the Mets real quick, Jeff.
I
do you have? Oh, I was gonna say, did you All Stars right now? We're nearing the All Star break right now. These last couple of years, we Mets, obviously DeGrom and a couple pitchers have been making the All Star team. How about positional players this season? I mean, obviously Pete Alonso has been a consistent been an All Star consistently since he's been with the Mets. But you see any other players so far as we're nearing the All Star break? I got like 3 on
Jeff
mine
McNeil.
right now, I think.
Jeff McNeil is a lock as an All Star. The dude has been off to a great start. He's been hitting the ball all over the place. Jeff McNeil is an All Star. You got to put the polar bear and the squirrel. The polar bear and the squirrel are going to be in the All Star game. In terms of anybody else as a position player, I think Lindor is going to get it, mostly because of name recognition. But he's actually had a pretty solid season.
I think Lindor's earning it. I think
he's off
to a good start.
He has been off to a pretty good start, and I actually think a guy that could possibly make it, maybe Nimmo or Marte. Nimmo and Marte have had pretty solid seasons too at the top of that lineup. So I wouldn't even be surprised if a starting pitcher gets it too.
I'm not so sure about Nimmo and Marte. I do agree they've been off to pretty good starts, but I'm not sure they're quite at the All-Star level type of starts. But I do agree with McNeil, Alonso, and Lindor. I think those 3 will make it as positional players as far as the start. As far as pitching goes,
Bassett. I think
Bassett
going to
for
make
sure could make it because he's been just incredible. I don't know. It's hard to say anybody else right now. I mean, they all been good, but
isn't
not
Taijuan Walker pitching to a sub-3 RA? I think Taijuan Walker is actually pitching to a sub-3 RA right now, so he has a shot of making it. And he made it last year too.
Walker made it last year. I was going to say as well. So.
And Cookie's, I think, pitching to like a 3.5 ERA. So they got guys that are going to make this All-Star team. I mean, who knows? Even Edwin Diaz can make it. He's had some he's had a couple of saves. Yeah, I mean, he's had some pretty good saves.
I want to put a bow tie on this by asking one last question, since you guys are very optimistic about the Mets. Jeff mentioned something along the lines of trade deadline. So my question to you guys would be, who would be guys that you would trade on this team that you are willing to part ways with, and who may be some guys that you see from across the league that you may want to bring in here as a big bat going down the stretch? And maybe early. I'm just curious right now your early thoughts.
Well, I think 2 guys that I definitely could see being traded are, and I like one of them. I could definitely see Dom Smith getting traded because he's been off to a rough start, and plus he needs to play more. And with the fact that Pete Alonso has been playing a lot more first base, that Dom Smith hasn't really gotten the chance to play a lot more than he should. So I could definitely see maybe him being traded, and also a guy like J.D. Davis. I could see him being traded in case they want to add another arm or 2 in the bullpen. In terms of a guy that I would like to acquire, I mean, I got one guy in my mind, and that's JD. That's JD Martinez over on the Boston Red Sox. I think this guy would be a legit big-time power hitter to add right behind Pete Alonso. I think he would fit really well with this lineup. He'd bring like the extra dose of power that this lineup could need, because right now they don't have a lot of home run hitters besides Pete. So I think that's the one person that I would look to if the Red Sox continue to have to tumble a little bit. They have been streaky and doing really well lately, so that's the one guy I would target. JD Martinez is a guy I would trade for.
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the 2 guys I feel like could be potential trade options for the Mets. It would be J.D. Davis and Don Smith. Absolutely, I think those guys. I'm not sure if they're how pleased those guys might be with their roles. Like you said, Don Smith was pretty much an everyday player last season, and now he's kind of in and out of the lineup. He's either, because he's DHing tonight. He's DHing tonight in this game. He did start at first base last night. Or no, he's first base tonight, and he DH'd last night, I believe. But
yeah.
And J.D. Davis, the same thing. He's pretty much only getting used as a DH every so often. He hasn't really played any third base at all this season. I feel like, not much, if not much at all.
That's smart move.
if
I like
these
that move.
guys are if these guys aren't maybe all that excited about their roles, maybe looking for more opportunities somewhere else, I can see both of them maybe getting moved for something. And I don't know people's names outside the Mets too much in baseball, but I know this team. The biggest need on this team, I feel like, is still is in the bullpen. They need some better relief help. I believe relief pitching, man. It's just to me that's the only part about this team that makes me nervous is when the starter goes down and some of those relievers come in, man. It just gets a little dicey at times, man.
Agreed.
So I just really think they need to figure out a way to bolster that part of this team up, get some better relievers in there for the long haul, for the long run, man. Because if anything can bite this team in the ass in the postseason, it's going to be that. And I just don't want to see us go out like that.
I agree
Well,
100%.
I hear you guys, and as a Yankee fan, my team, they're doing pretty well. They lost today, but they'll bounce back. I think right now, leading both teams lead their respective divisions, which is pretty exciting. And we'll see what happens down the stretch. Like you guys said, injuries play a big factor, especially in baseball, because those 15-day DL stints could really cripple you in the middle of a series. And really derail your playoff hopes down the stretch. Even though a guy may be coming back, you never know. So I hope both teams do well and stay hot, and we'll see what happens come late September. But moving right along to the other sports, one is the NBA. Let's get into the NBA. The Golden State Warriors, fellas, have punched their ticket to the NBA Finals against the Dallas Mavericks. Who do you guys think is next? Boston or Miami? Game 7, the best two-sentence word in the English language, Game 7. Fellas, it should be a good one. I'm going to stick with the
Just tipped
Boston
off, right?
Celtics, even though they're in Miami, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I personally think, the one thing that's been hurting this Boston team the most in this entire series has been turnovers. They've been turning the ball over way too much in this series, giving Miami those chances to get layups, to get easy jump shots. And I think Boston overall, when they actually have their full lineup out there, I believe they are the better team in terms of their roster put together. But if they keep on going with the turnovers, I do believe Miami's got a good shot in this. That being said, I really believe that Boston is going to take it tonight because they've actually been a really good road team. And I think they're going to have the big time chip on their shoulder after the way they played at home in Game 6. I think they're going to come out. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum are going to lead them off to a good game. Marcus Smart is going to be that pest. There's no way, after what Jimmy Butler did in Game 6, the Celtics are going to allow that guy to go off again in Game 7. They're going to make sure they do everything they can to take Jimmy Butler out of that game and make somebody like Adebayo or Oladipo or Lowry or somebody else on that team beat them. So I think overall the Celtics are going to end up winning this game tonight. I think it'll be close, like this entire series has been, even though the first couple of games were back in, blowouts. I think this is going to be a close game, and I think the Celtics are ultimately going to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals tonight.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate and go opposite, just like I did said. Also, I'm just not going to. I made this statement last week about the Miami Heat. I think the Miami is going to win this series, and
Well,
I think it's based off of the fact of what I just said about the Mets. It's a thing called mental toughness that I see. I see it as grit in this Miami Heat team. They are beat up they're just beat up. And the fact that they were able to go down up to Boston in a crucial Game 6 and get the job done behind on the shoulders of their superstar Jimmy Butler, it just goes to show you what this team's mental makeup is all about, man. As well as the fact that they can flat out play with Boston. Now, you're right, Boston's they got it going on, and Jaylen Brown, between Jaylen Brown and Tatum, these two guys have been absolutely phenomenal throughout this series. Marcus Smart is just going to be a pest no matter what. He's going to constantly be a pain in the ass. But to this Miami Heat roster, but at the same time, I just see a mental toughness in the Miami Heat, man, that I just think they're going to figure out a way to win Game 7 in their arena in front of their home fans, man. And the fact that they were able to push this to Game 7, because I think a lot of people probably wrote the Miami Heat off after Game 5, after they lost it lost the game 5 at home. A lot of people wrote this team off and just figured Boston was going to trounce them on Friday night. And you saw what you got. You got Miami coming out here, and they did everything they could to give that game away, and yet they still managed to hang on and get the job done. And I like a team. It's something to be. It's one thing about the physical part of the game, but it's one thing when a team you just know is mentally strong, mentally stronger than the other. And I think this Miami team is mentally stronger than Boston, and I think they have what it takes to get the job done tonight.
Well, I love that. That's a premium take there, right there, people. That is why we call the show Premium Takes, because Mac just gave you his side of the story, and it's really compelling. But I'm sticking with Boston, and here's why. Boston, like Jeff said, has basically shot themselves in the foot. Turnovers, bad baskets, not getting second chance rebounds, and it took a Herculean effort by Jimmy Butler to keep them in the game in Game 6 and have a performance like that. This is Game 7. Both teams are going to be tight. The season is on the line. I just think Boston has too many guys they can rely on to get the job done in a situation like this. Tatum heats up. Who's the second scorer on Miami that you can believe in? You know what I mean? That is going to have a good game. Jimmy Butler, and then there's a bunch of other guys that play. So for me, I think Boston is punching their ticket against the Golden State Warriors. I think they match up pretty well against the Warriors if they do advance. I think they would play a little bit more physical. Like I said, the Warriors will run up and down the floor. That's what they're going to like to do. I think Boston likes that half court game. But what they do with the half court game, which is interesting, is Al Horford kind of changes the entire dynamic of the Boston Celtics because he can pull his man out to the three-point line, which allows the smaller Boston Celtics to get rebounds. However, when they don't have Horford in the game, they lack the size and strength to go up and body for rebounds. So we'll see how that plays into the game tonight. But I like Boston's chances of winning.
I mean, hopefully you're looking for somebody like a Kyle Lowry to step up. I know he's banged up as well. Like I said, this Miami Heat team is beat up, but they just got a lot of tough, scrappy guys on this team, man. And I just think at home, in front of their home fans, they figure out a way.
Well, you're right. You might be right. The sauce always tastes better at home, right? But we'll see. Again, we'll see it. We'll see tonight. This is the game for me where Boston needs to be like, this is why we're the NBA champs, because they knocked off the NBA champs in the Milwaukee Bucks to get here. They knocked off a Nets team who, right now is having turmoil. We'll get to that in a second since we're on the subject of the NBA. But I just feel like Boston has had a tougher road to get there, and sometimes that toughness, that grind, hardens you for moments like this. And I just don't see them slipping away. But what I want to say for Miami though is Eric Spoelstra. Let's give this man credit. Let's clap it up for this man. Raise a glass, do whatever you want, because this guy came out of the shadows of Pat Riley, hand-selected Pat Riley, and has done nothing but a great job with the Miami Heat. When's the last time the Heat have had a coaching change outside of Spoelstra being there? You know what I mean? That's a long time. Long time that we get this guy. So I just want to give him some credit as well. If you look at the coaches that are still left in the NBA Finals today, minus the Boston Celtics, whose coaching staff is fairly new, they got some guys who have some history. Spoelstra is he's like the Greg Popovich of the East, right? He's just always there. His teams are always competitive, and right now he has probably arguably the best team in the record-wise the best team in the East, but could be the best team in the NBA in a few days. Well, that's why we play the game. That's why Game 7 is so epic. And man, I mean, I hope it goes into 3 overtimes. Let it marinate, let it roll, let's get the best we can get, because that's what I love to see in Game 7s.
Yeah, I mean, I second exactly what you say, Adam. I mean, it's about time that this guy Spoelstra, he deserves all the credit he can get, because he's not just that coach when he first began that was just there with the super team, there when LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh were there, and when he is now put together one hell of a roster, and he's done a great job coaching up some of these young players, some of these kids that are maybe cast off from other teams. He's put them in roles where they're being able to go out there and make the plays when needed, turn themselves into a gritty, hard-nosed, tough team. And Eric Spoelstra deserves all the credit that he deserves. So I'm glad you brought that up, Adam. This guy deserves all the incredible praise that he's getting as a coach. And I mean, he's probably one of the top 3 coaches right now in the NBA. And he has been for the past few years. Absolutely.
I would love him. I would love him in Brooklyn. I mean, we can't buy a coach these days.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things we love in Brooklyn.
Just what he's doing with this team right now. Like I said, Boston is a good basketball team, man. Very good. And to have this team even right now with all the injuries they're dealing with, even be competitive against a team with a team as good as Boston, something to be said about the coaching job he's doing, man. That is all. A lot of it's on him.
Boston's also banged up too. Boston's very banged up as well. I mean, they've had guys going in and out of the lineup. Both these teams are beaten up. I mean, Boston hasn't had Smart. Smart's been in and out. Tatum's been banged up. Robert Williams has been hurt. I mean, they've had guys in and out of the lineup as well. So both these teams have really taken the physical toll out of them. And I mean, Golden State's probably just sitting there right now, be like, all right, well, whichever one of these teams makes it out of this war in the Eastern Conference Finals, it might be a little bit easier for us because these teams are going to be so hurt going into the finals that maybe they're not going to be ready for, they're not going to be 100% getting ready to run all over the place against that Golden State team the way they shoot the ball. So, I mean, it's a big advantage right now for Golden State because of how physical these two teams have played against each other and the war that they've gone through.
You hope so. I think a guy like Marcus Smart gives Steph Curry fits because he's just physical. He's scrappy. He's not going to let that kid punk him on shots. You know what I'm saying? He's going to body him up. I think there's many things. Like if you watched the team last year, right? Milwaukee Bucks. I forget who they played. Oh, they played Phoenix, right? They played a team that was a little bit more finesse. Now Phoenix is very finesse. The Warriors have a little bit more edge to them, and that's what's going to help them against a team like the Heat or Celtics because they're going to need that edge because this is a gritty team, and I like what Boston's doing. I mean, we can give credit to the Boston coach as well, being you're coming in here your first year coaching.
Oh yeah, Ime Udoka has done a fantastic job with this team.
Replacing Brad Stevens, who was a pretty good coach and in his own right in Boston, had some troubles with getting guys over the hump, but they did meet some good teams in the playoffs. It's not like they were meeting slouches all the time. So to have his team ready, being in this position right now, you got to give him credit, and we'll see what happens. Beautiful ball movement right here by the Boston Celtics, and Halford goes up and misses the shot. Come on, Al, I just was talking about you.
Yeesh.
But anyways, let's get on with a little bit of the Nets news that Jeff has. He wants to bring it up. So since we're talking about the NBA, we might as well bring it up.
Well, what else can we say about those Brooklyn Nets? It's not very rosy right now in good old Brooklyn. There have been reports coming out that Mr. Kyrie Irving might not be getting that max extension because the team is very worried about this guy because of the fact he's been missing a whole lot of games. They don't know where his mental state is right now, and they don't feel comfortable giving him that large max contract. And another thing that's very troubling is that apparently Kevin Durant has not spoken at all to anybody in the Nets front office since they lost that last game, Game 4, against the Boston Celtics, which is a little bit of troubling because you figure you'd want to hear maybe some of the input that Kevin Durant might want to put into this what he might think about the team should do in the offseason or anything. But it's very troubling when you hear that. But also the fact that the Nets aren't 100% inclined to try to re-sign a guy like Kyrie Irving, who, yes, he has his moments where he's spaced out all over the place. He doesn't, he's too busy worrying about this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing. You wonder somewhat about his commitment to basketball. But at the same time, there's nobody right now out there in the free agent market. There's nobody out there in the trade market that is going to be able to fill the shoes of what type of player Kyrie Irving can be for this team. And the reason why Kevin Durant came to this team is because Kyrie Irving was coming too. These guys are a package deal right now. And if there's any trepidation of the fact that Kyrie Irving might not come back on a long-term deal, this might be the end of Kevin Durant in Brooklyn too, because if they can't find somebody that's suitable to come in and help out Durant, he's not going to want to be on a team where he's going to be the only star there. He's going to try to find a way, his one-way ticket out of Brooklyn, and it's going to add to an already very, very messy situation that's been going on in Brooklyn the past couple of years after they acquired both these guys in 2020. So, I mean, it's a very, very bad situation going on. You hope things smooth over, but at the same time, it's looking really ugly right now. And if this ends up happening, I'll let you go in a second, Mac. And Kyrie Irving, for some reason, is not brought back on a long-term deal, and they let him go. And if Kevin Durant just wants out of Brooklyn because of the situation that's going on, this might go down as one of the biggest flops. It might be the biggest flop in NBA history, that the Nets did all this work to bring in two of the best, most talented stars in the past 10, 15 years, and they couldn't get it done. They couldn't even get close to an NBA Finals or win a championship. That's just how bad it would be overall. So, yeah, it hurts my heart just saying it.
Well, look, Jeff, man, I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest with you right now, man. If I'm Nets front office, Nets management, man, I'm not giving Kyrie Irving a long-term deal. I'm not giving him a max contract. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this is a business. Mm-hmm. And when you sign your name on that contract, you make a commitment to be a part of this business. You know what I mean? And I can't trust Kyrie Irving. How many bridges does this guy have to burn everywhere he goes? Mm-hmm. Like, look what he did to the Celtics. We were just talking about Brad Stevens and the Celtics. That's what Brad Stevens had to deal with. He had to deal with the Kyrie Irving saga over there, too. Like, this is just nonsense with this guy everywhere he goes. You're not bigger than the game, bro. You're not. You're a great player, phenomenal talent. He's not bigger than the game.
Well,
and what I need to see, from Kyrie Irving, if I'm Nets front office, you'd be willing to come back on maybe another 1-year deal or something real quick this season. You give me 82, barring an actual legitimate injury that keeps you from playing. Barring that, you give me an 82 or give me the most you can give me, like I said, barring a legitimate injury, and show me you really want to be a part of this. Show me that I can trust you before I just dole out the money to you. Because I just can't anymore with Kyrie Irving, man. As great a talent as he is, I don't have the patience for somebody like him that seems to have a mentality that he's bigger than the game. That's his attitude, man. He's kind of arrogant. He's kind of an asshole. He's kind of a dick. I mean, it just is what it is. It just is what it is. So it's like, bro, you got to show me you really want to be a part of this before I'm just going to sit there and just throw money at you, man. I just can't do it. And as far as the Kevin Durant thing, man, I just feel bad for him because Kevin Durant, in my opinion, is definitely arguably a top 2 or 3 player on the planet, point blank and period. And the fact that he has to deal with this nonsense.
And the James Harden stuff, too.
The Kyrie Irving thing around him, the James Harden situation when he was there, the fact that you trade James Harden away and you're bringing a guy that didn't even give you a second of time. Like, give me a break, man. Kevin Durant deserves better than that. So I can see his frustration with the Nets organization right now. And I think at the end of the day, he's still a professional, and he'll handle it the professional way. But right now, it's a little early. Let him just, let him do his little woosah, spend time with the family, whatever he's doing, and then clear his head mentally. And I'm sure he'll handle this like the professional that he is. But as far as Kyrie Irving, there's no way I'm giving him a max contract, at least not this year. He has to prove to me he wants to be here.
But then I'll rebuttal real quickly, though, Mac, and then I'll let you go, Adam. Who are you replacing Kyrie Irving with if you don't give him that max deal? Because that you have to think about that, too. Who are you bringing in?
You do have to think about things like that, and it's not easy to replace a player like him regardless. As far as what he brings to the table on the court. But like I said, at the end of the day, this is a business, and when you put your name on that contract, you make a commitment.
No, I agree.
And if you're going to feel like, you just feel like, oh, no, I'm going to blow this off because I don't want to get a vaccination shot. So the hell with you, team. I'm just going to not play because I can't. I'm bigger than this. I'm better than this. I don't care. I'm just going to just sit out because I don't want to be there right now today. Oh, I have something going on in my life and I just don't feel like being there. Come on, man. Forget about it, man. Kyrie Irving, you burn bridges everywhere he's played. He's played. It's not just here. It's not just here in Brooklyn. It's been everywhere.
Well, let's welcome on. welcome on Zion, who's a huge Miami Heat fan, who's going to give us a little take on his team, who's getting a little their cheeks clapped a little bit at the beginning of this game. But I think he had some more Nets points to bring up. So Zion, welcome. How are
Go
you
Um,
ahead,
doing?
Zion. What's going
what's
on,
up,
Zion?
Horseman? Thank you so much for holding it down and subbing this week, Adam. I know it was last minute, but you came in clutch. Thank you so much for that, Mac. I love the point. I don't know really what you guys are talking about, but I gotta kind of fill in. It was about Kyrie Irving and his production on the court.
Well,
I do agree. I
just to
do
fill you
agree
in
with
real
you.
quick, it's about bringing Kyrie Irving back on a max deal or not.
Here's the thing: you don't. You do. That's Kyrie Irving. I'm sorry. That's Kyrie Irving, and I'm sorry. I know that's bullshit, but at the end of the day, his name still means max contract. I may not like it. You may disagree with it, but that name holds value. I know it hasn't held values as of late, but it's kind of like for instance, WWE Ronda Rousey that does the promo by itself. Obviously Kyrie Irving is not in the top 10 in the NBA, probably not even in the top 15 right now, but his name still does hold value. So to answer that question, it might be a max. Being there's a player that is probably interested in coming to New York's, mainly the Knicks. Why don't you guys go pull a fast one? Call up Damian Lillard. Tell Damian Lillard, Knicks fans, you're gonna hate this take, but tell Damian Lillard, you know what? Why would you want to go to the Knicks when you can come to the Brooklyn Nets? So that being said, her word on the street is not word on the street is, but Damian Lillard's name has been around. The Knicks has been a team that's been interested. That being said, why don't you pull a fast one? And if you was to replace a player like Kyrie Irving, to answer Adam's question, why not with Damian Lillard? That's a player that you can replace, that you can give a max, that you know will earn his max every single second he steps onto that court. I just want to get you guys' thoughts on that, and then let's dive into Miami Heat.
I would love to get Damon Lillard here. I hope that bringing Damon Lillard here would allow Kevin Durant to have the open mind to coming back, not necessarily playing with his friend. I think Lillard does a lot more offensively and can be a slasher and a scorer. Now that Kyrie Irving doesn't have game. I mean, the kid can play ball, But if you're going to replace Kyrie Irving with somebody, that's the guy I would do it. I think Damon Lillard would love to come here. Music career, you got Ja Rule, I'm not Ja Rule, Jay Z in the background in the shadow of the Brooklyn Nets,
Absolutely.
right? So why wouldn't you say, hey, listen, man, I know that you're trying to launch your rap career, Dame Dollar, maybe Dame Dollar signs with Jay Z and Rockefeller Records, you know what I mean?
He's one of the best rapper athletes out there, I have to admit.
No, he's
yeah, man,
probably the best.
him and Young Joker should make a collabo,
No offense against Tony, but I don't think Joker's boys could be a level that Damian Lillard's not yet. Maybe if you charge Tony, rap industry's kind of different. Your name's out there on the line, so I think Joker needs to step up. But that's besides the point. Continue, Adam.
Right. Listen, Kadarius Toney, whether you like his rap or not, good try, my friend. He's probably not getting a record deal anytime soon. But the point is, you have more options there. So I think I would like Damian Lillard. Your guys' thoughts quickly before we give the floor to Zion and his lowly Miami Heat, little putrid,
Just
pathetic
one more
start.
thing about the whole situation for me is just it's part of the problem with professional sports. And I get it, some players are just so much better than others. They just seem to be able to get away with more. But that's just not the way it's supposed to be, man. It's not the way it is in real life and other jobs in real life. And
Well,
others, it shouldn't be. It
The
shouldn't be.
NBA is very guilty of it. If
But
there's
the
any league that's
problem
worse,
is
it's the
you
NBA.
can't allow the inmates to run the asylum. You know what I
well,
mean?
that's
You
what
just
happened
can't.
with Odell.
And and the thing is, some players had like, okay, I'm gonna use the example of one of our all time greats, Lawrence Taylor. Obviously,
Thank
we
you.
know about all the off season stuff, all the off field things with Lawrence Taylor.
And
But
he's
what he
been
did, what he did on the field, it was just like you can't just get rid of this guy. You know what I mean? You can't just throw him out like garbage because you can't let him go do that for some other team. I mean, but Kyrie to me is not that. You're not Lawrence
right.
Taylor. You don't mean to basketball what Lawrence Taylor meant to football. You know what I mean? Like it
Right.
just
He
if you're
leaves,
good,
there'll be another Kyrie Irving
you're
somewhere.
good, but
Woo.
you're not like that guy that 50 years down the line, people are going to be just sitting around saying, Oh, that guy, Kyrie Irving. Yeah, he was
Remember that guy,
awesome.
Kyrie? He used to
Yeah,
dress up like an old man.
nobody's gonna
Nah.
be. Yeah, I forgot about that. Nobody's gonna be talking about Kyrie Irving 50 years from now like that. I'm not likely to anyway. Whereas,
Remember that old guy that used to play basketball? What was his name again?
so it's just like
Uncle Drew.
some of these guys you got to understand and
Now, what you
realize.
talking
Like I
about?
said, you're not big. You can't make yourself bigger than the game, larger than life, man. You're Kyrie Irving. You signed a contract to play with the Brooklyn Nets. Play for the Brooklyn Nets, bro. Don't make excuses why you can't play. Play. Unless you're legitimately injured, be there for your team. Be there for your organization.
We're
And
gonna
Absolutely.
now
that's
pivot
why
over
I just
to
can't give him that money. Sorry.
we're gonna
His
pivot over
team.
to
I
Zion
absolutely.
because his team is getting slapped right now. Straight slap
They
it
are.
out.
Some
I
Slap
absolutely
it act
agree
in the
with-
face. Like,
but Max-
y'all better get the club ready because you might be clubbing a little early tonight.
It's Gucci. It's only the first quarter. That being said, 100% facts, Mac, and play within your level. I mean, like we get it, Kyrie. You want to go out there and you want to be the Kyrie of young, but you're not that no more. And you can be. We see glimpses of it. He's shown that. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of off the court problems too. And what Mac was saying, I'm not going to repeat what he was saying. Long story short, there is some moments where I noticed. I know we have two Brooklyn fans here, so they can talk about it anybody. But I noticed that like Kyrie Irving tries a bit too hard. It's like, bro, we look at LeBron and we see LeBron, and LeBron, he doesn't play defense sometimes. Sometimes he just stands around. But when LeBron needs to be LeBron, LeBron can be LeBron. Now, LeBron in his younger days, of course he would play hard because he's much more younger. But him at his day and age right now, he's just gonna rest when he can take the rest on the court. He don't care. He's LeBron. That being said, Kyrie Irving needs to not play like LeBron, but know how to play within his level. You know what I'm saying? And get into this Miami game, like my co-host Adam reminded me. Yes, we're losing by a lot right now, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? We're playing hard. I'm looking like we're trying for the turnovers, but it's looking like Boston is playing outstanding D right now. Tatum is just getting comfortable with his shot. Not too long ago, he just shot it up from three like nothing. He's getting comfortable. We can't let them get comfortable with that. That is what I'm worried about in this game. We've been dominating in the category of steals, the games that we have been winning, but it's a slow start. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. Both teams deserve to be in the shot. Deserve to be in the spot. That was an ugly shot, missed. But yeah,
That's how you play some basketball.
Jesus.
Listen, I'm gonna give you the theme song for your team. It's called "Make It Clap."
Oh, nice play.
Make it clap.
Nice
Make your
play.
butt cheeks
Nice
clap
play.
because you are getting outschooled right now. Your team is looking like they have not played basketball for months. I'm sorry.
Grant Williams.
Yeah, but
Grant Williams is off to a
is-
fantastic
well,
start.
this series has been going. I can't put
going
any
on a
stock
run
in
right
this the
now.
way this series has been going.
24-9.
I can't put any stock into this right now the way the series has been going.
Absolutely.
At any point, either one of these teams going runs.
Listen. Here's why I will do it
Ooh,
because
that was
remember Miami got off to that good run in I think it was game 2 or game 3 where it was insurmountable for basically Boston to come back because of the turnovers. So if Boston can get a lead and keep pressuring the defense, I could see them winning. From
Good
gun
play
to gun.
from Butler.
But hey, this is what I'm talking about.
They could
Got a
easily come. They could easily
4-point play in the making.
Could easily come back into it. Boston did a good job of taking out the crowd immediately. You know what I'm saying? I am watching on mute, but at the end of the day, there's no crowd obviously right now. But let's run up, take bad shots, get comfortable, Boston, get comfortable, and we'll slowly climb our way up back into this game. The crowd will get back into this game, and
there it is.
because both teams, you got a foul and you got a shot. That's not going to be a 4-point play.
There it is.
So yeah, that's what we need to do. Just get back into this game. Good shit, Vincent.
This is
Nice shot by Vincent.
This is why you play it, right? Game 7s, it's never over till they say it's over. Fellas, this is going to be a good little back and forth throughout the rest of the show, ladies and gentlemen. While us Boston Celtic fans give it to the one Heat fan on the panel throughout the rest of the show. But let's keep it moving. We've talked a lot of basketball right now, so let's pivot to something a little different. We'll get into it. Football, the OTAs are happening. We'll talk about the Giants OTAs, one of our bigger topics that we normally like to talk about here, the New York Football Giants, and people know how I feel about them. But guys, now that OTA is going on, minicamp is basically Monday. If I'm not mistaken, it's next Monday, the 7th. So we'll really get to see this team and what they can do forward. The one thing I want to say is, before people jump down my throats or anything I say after this, is that this is a 4-13 team previous, and we have a rookie head coach. I love the optimism going in, but let's pump the brakes. But hey, guys, any thoughts on OTAs so far?
Well, I love the excitement, that's the buzz around the team and everything. And just like you said, man, we got to keep the reality that we know this was the reality that this was a 4-13 football team, man. And to be honest, these guys are all professional football players. So you're going to look amazing running around the field in T-shirts and shorts. You're going to look amazing when no one's hitting you. You know what I mean? When no one's coming after you trying to take your head off. You're going to look sensational. I mean, that just is what it is. Everybody looks like an all-pro in shorts and T-shirts. These guys are NFL players for a reason. They were the best. They were the best of the best when they played through high school, college, whatever. So of course, at this level now, running around in shorts and T-shirts, that's just nothing. That's just a day. That's just a day at the office for these guys. So until we put the pads on, at least, even when it's just training camp where we're hitting each other, we gotta temper those expectations. We gotta. It's nice to see some new things getting put in place. That's all good, well and good. It looks promising. I like what I'm seeing from the rookies in practice, the young guys, the Cody Bellingers, who, by the way, besides Thibodeau and Evan Neal, was my favorite pick of the draft. Just throwing that out there. I said that back after the draft. Bellinger was my guy. But Rondell Robinson doing some good things in practice. Yeah, but you got to still understand that right now nobody's hitting these guys.
Didn't they say this last year?
Hands on them. Yeah, just nobody's putting their hands on these guys yet. So until that starts to happen, until you really see these guys maybe even in some preseason action, or maybe if we get some joint practices in training camp, until you start seeing stuff like that, man, we got to temper the expectations. It's one thing to be excited and hope for change and better things to come, which I think is going to happen. I'm excited for that totally. I believe better days are coming for the New York Giants. But this is a young team, man, and there's going to be a lot to prove. And come Sundays in the fall, it ain't going to be just so as easy as it is right now, OTAs for any of these guys, man. So until we see them on the field against actual other NFL competition other than themselves at practice, I still got to just pump the brakes a little bit on everything. But I mean, it's a lot of good things popping, and I'm excited for like a new beginnings for the New York Giants organization. But got to pump the brakes a little bit.
No, I mean, I agree 100% what you said, Mac. I mean, you're always going to get that extra added excitement from a fan base when you're bringing in a new regime because you feel like change is coming, good times are arriving. You get two incredible players who you believe are going to be impactful players immediately in the draft. You got a couple of these other young guys that are showing something. Maybe have some of these guys coming back from really poor seasons. They got those chips on their shoulders, want to show this new regime that they can make the big-time contributions coming into the season. But at the same time, like you said, and like Adam mentioned, this is a team that's been struggling for years in terms of health. They've been putting out poor products over and over again. They've always made the propensity to find ways to lose games, turnovers, injuries, bad plays, no execution. This team has been an absolute colossal meltdown for years. And right now, they have to prove to these fans when the pads are put on that they can go out there and change the narrative. Because right now, it's great to be excited in terms of the offseason, seeing what these guys can do in T-shirts and shorts. Show us what you can do when you put those pads on. You're going against other teams that are doing the exact same thing that we're doing right now in the offseason. So you got to go out there and prove it to us, prove it to this new regime, prove it to the ownership, prove it to everybody that this is really a change coming from the New York Giants. And the problem is, it's no problem with being excited. But the thing is, it's going to take time for this team to rebuild. Buffalo did not become a great team in their first year. It took them a couple of years until they became a good team. Cincinnati, it took them a few years to become a good team. These teams take a little bit of time until they eventually become the type of teams that they are now. You have to build your roster as it goes. You have to bring in guys from your own regime and start to get rid of the guys from the old regime who don't fit in with what you're looking for. So there's no problem with being excited. I even am guilty of saying I've been excited some things I've seen. But at the same time, like you guys, I'm coming down to where this team has to go out there and prove it to us, because we've all seen this for many years where we've gotten hyped up for some big moves that are happening, and then it just never happened on the field. Whether these guys get injured, they never live up to expectations that year. So they have to go out there and prove to us that change is actually happening and that this team is actually going out there and becoming a winning franchise again. So it's cool to be excited, but I agree. Temper it down a little bit until this team goes out there on the field and shows us that there's really actually change happening and a foundation is being built.
And to add on to that, it's like we're not saying that this team, we're not saying that we wouldn't be excited if this team made the playoffs or anything like that. Like, anything could happen to. Teams take time to build, but we see teams like that make a jump in like 1 year, that gets someone in the draft, and that someone just happens to make their team a whole lot better, more than they thought it would. Now, we're not saying that can't happen for this team, but all of us been fans of this team for a long time, and I know there's a lot of younger generation that doesn't have YouTube channels that come to YouTube for content and to get knowledge on their team. And that being said, for those younger fans, like, we all want this team to do good. We all want this team to succeed, but they have to prove it before we can even judge on anything. Because I'm not going to repeat what they just said. We have a lot of talent on this team, and this team is a younger roster, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're healthy. I wouldn't be surprised if we're in the playoffs due to the coaches we got, due to the players we got, due to the talent we got. There's a lot of hidden sleepers on this team that the average NFL fan may not know. And I'm excited for this team, super excited. We all are excited for this team. But
now you're getting the rabid dog.
We've seen this team fail over and over and over again, and myself and some of these guys on YouTube and some of these guys on stream had high expectations for this team last year. Me predicting on paper 12-5, looking at the offseason, like, we won the offseason. There's no way this could go wrong. I was a part of that community on Twitter, like, reading all of it. And we all was checking if we're getting Galladay. Happy when we get a Dory Jackson. Happy because we finally have a roster, a defense that could compete. And then, boom, get plagued with injuries the early weeks in the season. And then lose to the Falcons when we all thought that was the turning point. And then have the 2021 Giants, we shall not talk about them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was one of the worst seasons of all time, being a Giants fan. We don't want to talk about that roster. We don't want to relive that past. We're just all saying, just dampen expectations. We all know that if we all stay healthy and with the coaching staffs that we have, we could make a run. We could be a super team.
Let me address that. Let me address that point.
The fact that they have to prove it more than anything. Go right ahead, Adam.
Let me address that point. The coaching staff that we have. Let me ask you a question, okay? And I had a point I was going to bring up, but let's go down this road for a minute. What games as head coach has Brian Daboll won?
0. That's why I'm saying that.
Okay, so
he's a new coach.
So the fact that we're excited about a coaching staff that hasn't done anything in a game, while it's exciting and intriguing. I wouldn't say
I'm all excited about the coaching staff because it's a new regime. And in my point, what I was saying in my point was we have a coaching staff that hasn't proved anything in the facts of being a head coach yet, but the people he has brought in it's not like we gathered teams from, it's not like we got head coaches and offensive coordinators from Jacksonville. No offense to these teams. We'll write down there with them. Jacksonville, Houston, and the Jets and the Lions. Nah, we got coaches from the top of the litter, coaching staffs that have been there, coaching staffs that have proven resumes, and not in a sense of winning, but it's a better than who? Joe Judge. Who? Because what?
But
Well, that's the only point of that. And I'm just saying to those fans, I was talking to those younger generations that don't have channels that come on YouTube for content. I get the fact why they would be excited. Look at our draft. Look at the coaches we brought in. I get that. But at the end of the day, it's a foundation year, and until they prove it, it's still going to be a foundation year in all of our points. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to explain like we're all excited for this team. We know what this team can do, or we think we know what this team can do if we stay healthy the whole season. But at the end of the day, we've been let down so many times that we're not going to come out there and say we're going to make the playoffs. I have us going 7-10. So that being said, let's just dampen expectations, but we're all excited. That's what that point was.
I don't disagree with it. My point getting to the coaches is my exercise was we haven't seen anything to warrant me to be more excited about Brian Dable than I was Joe Judge or Pat Shurmur. Because Pat Shurmur at least had head coaching experience. I thought it might have been different. Now, you might not like Pat Shurmur because he acts like a mailman or, somebody who's very boring. Very boring coach. I get it, and I like I like the excitement, and enthusiasm, and I'm not even worried about proving it. I'm like, we act like this guy is Bill Parcells. He's walking in here. Well, the Giants are fixed. We're doing this and we're doing that. I'm like, yo, man, we got stopgaps on the offensive line. John Feliciano ain't here past who knows what, right? You got unproven players that haven't even done anything. We hope Evan Neal's going to be good, right? But do we know he's going to be good right out the gate? Is he not going to struggle? Is Brian Dable not going to struggle? You know what I mean? Like, I like the direction, like Max said, that they're headed. Love it. Absolutely love the fact that they're in synergy, making us fans look bad. Like Dave Gettleman made us look good. Because we're like, why would you do what you did, right? Joe Shane, on the other hand, says, screw everybody. We're going to do it this way. And I like that. I like that they're talking. I love everything they're about. I can tell you right now, they've done more than change filing cabinets and get Keurigs with this regime. Okay, I can tell you that for a fact. All right, everybody that loved their culture change, here it is. But at the end of the day, none of it means bupkis because they haven't done anything. So I understand why people are optimistic, but I'm not optimistic yet because I haven't seen a damn thing worthy of this team to warrant a like, oh, well, just because Brian Dable's here, we're winning 2 more games, 3 more games. Give me a break.
What's up, Raphael, in the chat, man? But
That's Tyler.
But one thing about that, though,
the game.
one thing about that thing is, see, being a head coach is a different animal, man. Some guys can excel at being a coordinator and then get the head coach an opportunity, and they absolutely stink. I bring up one of the most famous names for that, Norv Turner, amazing offensive coordinator, Never ever could get it done as a head coach. It just didn't. The light bulb never came on as a head coach. But and I'm hoping we don't have that in Brian Dable. I really hope that's not the situation with Brian Dable. But Pat Shurmur is also a good example of that as well. I mean, he's also a guy that has excelled as an offensive coordinator in this league, and a couple head coaching opportunities. It has not worked out for him at all. And I mean, so you got to remember, keep that in perspective. Okay, look at this coaching staff now. We got Brian Dable, first-time head coach. Mike Kafka, first-time offensive coordinator, as far as at least at this level anyway. So they are still kind of unknowns because being a quarterback's coach is different than having to coordinate the entire offense and being responsible for the entire offense. It's different. Yeah. It's a different job. Now, Wink Martindale is a proven commodity at the defensive coordinator we brought in, so that's a plus on the defensive side of things. We got a couple good assistants. Bobby Johnson, I think, is a very good, from what I'm seeing, a very good offensive line coach that hopefully will get this offensive line together and get in some kind of at least decent order and get them guys playing some much better football.
People like Pat Flaherty last year, Mac. Pat Flaherty was a good coach. So I mean, like I love that they bring in coaches, but does that mean we're gonna win?
It doesn't. It doesn't necessarily mean that. Like I said, this is a young team they're going to be working with. So a lot of things you got to see. You just got to see the product on the field and see how these guys handle things once the bullets are once the fire when it's live fire, man.
Let me say one more thing real quick, Jeff. That also annoyed me. Okay. We got people analyzing Daniel Jones hitting the net with a football. I'm like, this is what you're telling me? Like, oh, it's doing great. He's hitting it. Are you kidding me right now? You're kidding me right now. That's
without
what
a pass rush in his face.
Right,
Without anybody
exactly.
coming after him, you should be able
There's
to do
nobody
that.
there. He's dancing around dummies. He's dancing around dummies and hits the center of a football. That's his freaking job. That's like the freaking surgeon making the first incision in your cut. And like, oh my God, wow, look at that. Oh my God, he can do it. He can use a scalpel. Jesus. People, I want to see it when the Tennessee Titans are bearing down and Bud Dupree is coming around the corner because he just, juked out Evan Neal. And Daniel Jones is standing there, well, let me wait for Kadarius or whoever the hell needs to get open. That's when I want to see it. Not when he's dancing around at practice. You, me, or Matt can all make that throw. I can make that throw. I've done it at the shore to win a freaking damn stuffed animal. Okay? I hit the bullseye.
Congratulations.
Oh yeah, thanks. I don't have that damn plush toy anymore. But the point is that even my bum ass can go and make a bullseye every now and again. So I want the excitement. And then someone's telling me about the throw to Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm like, yo, why is that dude skipping 4 times before he throws the football? Does anybody ask themselves that question? Like, he has to shuffle twice to get the ball off. I'm like, Daniel, is your arm not strong enough to get down? There are things that are concerning to me that I'm seeing that people aren't mentioning. So it's just me. And the last thing I want to say is, if you guys like Matthew Stafford, right? Matthew Stafford is the guy I'm going to bring up right now because I thought about this today. And I'm going to give it to you in a premium way, okay? Matthew Stafford had a terrible team in Detroit. But you know what Matthew Stafford was? He was still good. People didn't doubt Matthew Stafford and Detroit. My point is, we sit here and we talk about a quarterback who's done nothing. And people tell me, well, it's the offensive line. Well, it's this. Matthew Stafford shows you how a good quarterback can be good on a bad team and then go someplace else and excel. If you can't tell me that a guy can produce on a bad team, then you're not watching the same football game I'm watching, because that's what Matthew Stafford did year in and year out.
Let me play devil's advocate. Let me play devil's advocate. I love that Matthew Stafford point. I really do, and I'm just playing devil's advocate. So to defend Daniel Jones hadn't had someone named Megatron.
No.
Yeah, but the team still lost.
Somebody named Kenny Galladay, but come on.
But still, like, when you have someone like Megatron, that's game changing, bro. It's kind of like Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I understand what you're saying, and I counter it with this: the cream rises to the top no matter where they are. Okay, that's the point is, in Detroit, no matter who you put out there, because Calvin Johnson, let's be real, just like Galladay, was in and out of the lineup for some of those years. And he still made cats look good. And he still kept the Lions in football games.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And my point is, like, we're talking about Daniel Jones is the great, elephant in the room. You talk about him, it's as if someone talked about your child. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. You can't talk about Daniel that way. No. You can't.
Like that.
Treason. You know what I mean? Banned from the household you are, right? So
that's funny.
So for me, it's just like I searched the depths of my body because I know people are going to give me receipts if Daniel Jones blows up. My inbox is going to fill up with so many receipts. I'm going to have to cut the customers off and say, yo, we ain't taking no more returns today.
Well, fast too, Adam. I understand that. Logan, I truly appreciate that too, but I do understand that because I've been talking about Matthew Stafford beginning of last season. I've been calling his number, and that's why I had the Rams winning the Super Bowl. So I do understand that point, and I've been tuning Matthew Stafford's horn when in top 5 quarterbacks. When we used to rate him back last season, I would put Matthew Stafford up there even before the season started. So I know how good he can be. I just want a devil's advocate to defend Daniel Jones, which I never really do nowadays.
No. My thing is this. My only point is, if you look at Matthew Stafford and you look at what he did over the years that he was in there, was there a shadow of a doubt that Matthew Stafford
not at all.
Exactly. My point is, people tell me, you need this, you need that, you need this to tell me that he's good. Matthew Stafford had no line, no team, no nothing, and produced every week for that football team.
Oh.
And nobody is still sitting. No one in Detroit, a couple of years, even after he was injured, was going, if we gave him a better offensive line, he might be doing a little better. You know what I mean? Like, if we actually put a team around Matthew Stafford, maybe we'll go to the playoffs more. They ended up sucking every year, and that guy just produced with
Yeah,
guys
he is,
even
he
had
is.
no
That's
name
true.
guys on there.
Yeah.
But that being said, like we talked about this before, and let's talk about it live on stream. Like, you know, I was one of those players, I think we all was, that before this season, before 2021 season started, we're all like, this is Daniel Jones' last season if he doesn't perform. Not really last season, but kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like, and we go and we win 4 wins, and then all of a sudden it's like a lot of people wanna make excuses
What has he
to get
done?
this guy. And like I 100%, you know why I stand on Daniel Jones, you know? And that being said, it's kind of like I'm 100% done making excuses, but then again, he still is the quarterback of this team, right? And then again, we did do our very best, what we could do with our powers that be, to bring in a team that hopefully he can function around. We did go out there and get him another receiver. Sterling Shepard looks to be more healthier. Workley looks to be on track to have a good season. Well, not a good season, but looks on track to at least play.
Just make it to training camp.
So-
I mean, my God.
So that being said, like, you know, I'm more worried about not much the offensive side of the ball. Although the main focus is on Daniel Jones and if he can perform, you know. But
You're
more
worried about that defense.
our defensive side of the ball, like outside of that line, like who we got? Like I respect
McKinney.
McKinney, don't get me wrong. I respect Blake Martinez. You know, I respect Lorenzo. Not Lorenzo, sorry. Aziz, you know, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned that our cornerback position, because we're one injury away from being, what are we going to do in that backfield? That's my question to you guys,
you know,
right? It's like,
it's
what if
first off,
Dory Jackson, God forbid, I'm taking we're the New York Giants. We've been getting hurt for the last 10 years. God forbid,
Well,
Dory Jackson goes down week 1. What do we do back
Well,
there?
that's where I was going to make my point too, is that you're putting a lot of faith in a bunch of guys that have had a lot of injury issues, and just to make you. And the problem is, a lot of people are thinking that guys like Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, Adoree Jackson, Blake Martinez, all these guys that have had a history of injury issues are all of a sudden all going to stay healthy, and not only just stay healthy, but be able to produce. You're asking a lot for all these guys that are A, getting older, and B, have had a history of injury issues, and it's probably not going to happen. You go through an NFL season, these guys are going to drop. People are going to get hurt. So it's like you're putting a lot of faith in a bunch of these guys that have not had the best track record in terms of staying on the field. So that's the thing. For me, personally, that's the reason why, right there, and it has been the reason why I don't think this team is going to make that huge leap that some fans are thinking, is because I don't trust these players to all stay on the field. I think it's just going to be a matter of time until Kadarius Toney pulls another hamstring, Shepard injures an ankle, Golladay hurts his arm, like Barkley steps on an ankle. It's just these types of little injuries that always keep popping up with these guys. It's just the injury issues that continue. And Daniel Jones has not been the best form of health either. He's been hurt every single year of his career too. So that's the reason why I just can't get fully behind 100% saying, because all these guys are talented, they have chips on their shoulders, everything's going to break right, we're going to go 11-6, 12-5, 13-4. I can't do that right now. I still think this team, if some miracle happens, some of these young players do have themselves really solid or very good rookie years, and some of these guys coming back actually find a way to stay on the field. It's a lot of ifs, I know. I'm just saying it's a lot of ifs. Before you guys jump down my throat, I'm saying it's ifs. But if these guys, if they stay on the field, they do have some talent to be able to produce out there. And Daniel Jones, he's not the greatest quarterback. He never will be the greatest quarterback, but he does have some talent to be able to get it done with some solid pieces around him. But I just can't trust these guys to stay on the field. And like you said, Zion, if God forbid Adoree Jackson goes down in that cornerback room, you're giving a lot of trust to a bunch of players that have not proven themselves completely in that cornerback room. And you know for a fact, teams like the Eagles, the Cowboys, and those guys are going to be licking their chops going after that young secondary.
Well, we do it for Aaron Robinson. Aaron Robinson is getting beat by a guy who's 5'7". Aaron Robinson getting beat by a guy who's 5'7" in practice right now.
In his defense, that he didn't have horrible coverage on him. He just didn't.
I know.
That's just a good play by Robinson. It's just a great play by Wanda.
I'm just adding on to the piling on of complaints.
The receivers we played this year, like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I love our pick. I love our pick. Don't get me wrong, but it's the NFL, man. I mean, like, you're not gonna get there. I mean, like, you're not gonna get there on every single player. That being said, if I'm just worried about receivers, like eating out cornerbacks alive back there.
I
That's
mean,
what I'm
another
really worried
thing
about.
about Aaron Robinson too in his defense is that he's genuinely kind of learning a new position in a sense. Whereas he played his when we drafted him, it was more to bring him in as a slot corner guy. He's definitely
Absolutely.
not used to playing on the outside as often. So he's gonna have to really that's gonna be a big adjustment for him. So he's gonna continue to work hard throughout this all season process. And listening to this guy talk. He doesn't get the best interview. He doesn't seem like the most interesting guy to interview and talk to.
Yeah,
But
it's
hey,
not
follow
great.
me on this because guys like him are usually the ones that are dogs on the field, though. Man, they'll go
Right.
out there
Right.
and get it done on the field. I mean, he doesn't. You
He may
talking to
not
him, you
be
think you're
able to
talking to
speak a sentence, but the boy can play
articulated,
football.
but he can get it done. He can play. He can flat out play. And like you were mentioning that Wandell Robinson play at practice, the big play at practice, he did have he had good coverage. It wasn't like he just got like burned
But yeah,
down the field by him or anything. It was, but
Look,
I think
I like
he'll come
Robinson.
around. Hopefully,
I'm not worried. I'm
Robinson's
not
the guy I really
worried
like
about
a lot on
Robinson.
that
I'm
team.
worried about the quarterbacks that Robinson's going to play because
I heard
they're going to be veterans where they run a zero coverage, a zero blitz because they're bringing the house on 3rd and 11. And Aaron Rodgers, looks at the backside and says, "Well, I've seen this cover zero for 5 weeks." And Aaron Robinson shades to the left, and his receiver. I mean, he doesn't have good receivers, but who knows? Let's say Sammy Watkins is out. Let's say Sammy Watkins is out there and kind of okey dokes the rookie, right, or the young guy, and he goes for 60 on a crucial moment. Those are the things that I worry about because as much as we like the aggressive nature of these, both the offense and the defense, that means you're going to need to learn more complex things to do, right? The reason why Graham did what he did was it was simple, it was easy, and they knew how to run it very efficiently. The problem was that defense didn't work inside of 2 minutes of both a half. So go figure. You could only play defense for 56 minutes of a football game. Well, that's great. You played football, great defense for 56 minutes, but the last 4 that we needed you to win the game, you lost. So I want to see what Wink Martindale does. All his corners went down last year, and his defense was ranked 21 in the league. Okay, he still has a bunch of nobodies out there. They're still wearing the sticker on their helmet to get the last names correct because they don't know who these guys are. They coming off the street, right? And this roster is going to turn over a lot. A lot of these guys you see here now may not be here, may not be in the positions that we held. So
I think a lot
hoping,
of these guys won't be here next year. I think a lot of these guys that are on this roster right now, they will not be here in
well, that's another
2023.
thing that brings me to another point. Looking in the future, is I know the Giants are, $80 million, blah blah blah. You mother don't know how much money they have, and you won't know how much money they have. And the point is that the Giants need half their team to be re-signed next year. They have a lot of guys leaving. So will you want to dump money into resources, or are you going to want to keep drafting players and keep that cap number down so you can eventually make moves? Like I said, like I've always preached, I think this year, like you guys have said, build something. Don't worry about wins. Don't worry about losses. Don't worry about this and that and the other thing. Just go out there and build a solid foundation, and the rest will come. Because people forget that you have to draft well, and that not only do you have to draft well, but that talent then has to put it together, right? Because Josh Allen, people listen. You guys need to go watch. People out there need to go back and watch the AFC East champion, the AFC divisional round. Watch those 2 offenses because a little bit of that is coming to New York, right? But what's not coming to New York is all the players that they have on the field. Right? All those home run threats that they got out there. Like, we're like, oh, well, you know what? They're going to just run it with Tony here. This is not Madden. It doesn't work like that. You don't just hire a guy and take his plays and like, oh, we're going to run it. I can run 99s down the field all day. It doesn't work like that. There will be miscommunication.
Well, that's why I think that the wide receivers are actually going to be one of the most important positions on this team because I think that can make or break the success that Daniel Jones can have this year. If those guys can stay healthy and actually live up to their draft status or live up to the contracts they're making, Galladay, then I think they actually could have a chance of being a halfway decent offense because they are talented players. Galladay is a talented player. Tony is a talented player. Shepard is talented. Robinson is talented. These guys can get it done on the field, but they just have to stay on the field, and they can't make any more excuses. They got to go out there, stop dropping the damn ball when it comes their way, block on the outside when you're running either a running back or wide receiver screen because our wide receiver blocking sucks. It sucks. So we need to have these guys. I think the wide receiver position is so important to this offense that these guys need to go out there and they need to live up to their end of the bill and get it done because that's how you're going to have. That's how Daniel Jones is going to have a good year. His wide receivers got to help him out, and they actually got to stay on the damn field. It's about time they actually go out there and show the type of production that we expect from them and what we thought we were going to get from them last year, and we got nothing except heartache, heartbreak, and just a friggin' headache every single day.
I mean, these guys got to put up or shut up, man. They got to put up or shut up, man. At this point in time, they got to go out there and make plays. No matter, I mean, people can try to blame, like you said, every different thing from coaching. Jason Garrett a year ago with his prehistoric offense. Okay, yeah, I get that. It was prehistoric. It was very dated. But at the same time, you still got to make plays. You still got to make plays, and we didn't demonstrate the ability to do that a year ago. And we haven't demonstrated the ability to do that in a few years now. And at the end of the day, coaches can coach. Players got to still go out there and play, man. The coaches do know what they're talking about. They're NFL coaches, for crying out loud. They know what they're talking about. You guys got to go out and execute.
We laugh at Jason Garrett, but his teams are in the playoffs or in the playoff hunt every year. Like, yeah, I laugh at him, and it's funny that his archaic offense didn't work here. But and listen, I'm going to say this. Jason Garrett's offense was putrid. But I think it's a product of many things. One, the coaching staff. Two, the player that is being coached. You don't just stifle your offense because you have Matthew Stafford back there. Okay? You stifle your offense because you have a guy that you know doesn't process the field well, and you make him read 2 reads in a dump-off. And that can't happen. And that's why I'm so frustrated with people like, oh, well, some of this is on the quarterback, okay? He was in those games. He made those mistakes, even when the pocket was there. 37 games is a lot of games to evaluate. You know why Barkley is not gone from this team? Because we know that he is a dynamite player. And if you had to put gun to my head who I'm keeping over them, like if I was the GM this year, I'm keeping Barkley over Daniel any day of the week because I know Barkley has, all-star back potential, guy who can lead the league in the NFL, an elite prospect at his position. Daniel Jones, I don't know who I got with him right there. And that's my problem, is when I'm indecisive about a player, that's my decision. My decision is, I don't know, get out of here. I want to be sure about something. And so that's why I brought up about Matthew Stafford, because when he was on a bad team, you were sure about Matthew Stafford. There was no damn question.
Wow. Interesting. No, I just got some. I'm just gonna do a quick. If anybody's watching Double or Nothing tonight, AEW pay-per-view, they had 2 big debuts tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna wait till the wrestling. We got to the wrestling portion, but I know.
Let's get to the WWE's part of it since we're towards the back 9 of the show right now, and I'm sure we can go on for Giants and NFL as we speak. But since there is a pay-per-view going on, we'll say it says WWE Week in Review, but we can tell you just all wrestling in review as we get this last segment in here. Guys, take it away.
Well, I mean, right now AEW just had 2 big debuts tonight. The former Ember Moon has just debuted at Double or Nothing tonight as Athena, and the former manager, Malcolm Bivens, is now All Elite as Stokely Hathaway. So there's a couple of big debuts for AEW. Not surprised. AEW has been making a lot of debuts lately. MJF got his ass whooped, and he left on a stretcher. Obviously, a lot has to do with what happened with him. There's been a lot of news that MJF and AEW have not been on the same page at all. Even some reports that he might have been threatening to leave the Las Vegas area where the pay-per-view is being shot tonight. But he ended up doing the match, pretty much got squashed tonight, left on a stretcher right now, and he's out of there. So it's a couple of little notes right now in terms of the AEW side. And in terms of WWE, just pretty much to build for Hell in a Cell right now. They're just trying to slowly put together a decent card. I mean, there's really nothing exciting that happened this week in terms of like Raw and SmackDown. I think one of the best things that happened was that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn little exchange that they were doing on SmackDown. It could be some type of little tale that they might be doing of a possible Sami Zayn face turn that could be happening because of the fact that the Bloodline might just be using Sami Zayn as the little puppet right now. And then it might actually end up turning Sami Zayn face, and maybe Kevin Owens gets into the picture once he's done with this whole Ezekiel Elias thing, which I think is friggin' hilarious. I never thought I would actually get excited to watch Kevin Owens call somebody a liar the entire time, but I think Kevin Owens just shows how damn good he is, that he's made Ezekiel into like one of the best storylines that are going right now in WWE. But one of the things that, like little hints that have been dropped, is that there could be a possible Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens pairing to possibly go against the Bloodline for those World Tag Team Championships, because Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, one of the things that they haven't really done, they haven't really won any tag team gold. And how cool would it be that these two guys just resigned recently to the WWE, that they come together as a tag team and they could be the ones to finally take down the Usos and get those tag team championships together? It would be a nice little feather in the cap for these two, who actually I think have been putting on some of the best work in their WWE careers, and have actually been putting out some of the best work in terms of anybody right now in the WWE. So, I mean, that's a little bit of a tidbit that I've been showing. I mean, otherwise that, you got Bianca Belair versus Asuka and Becky Lynch, triple threat match happening in the pay-per-view. Not really surprised. Once they announced Becky Lynch versus Asuka happening on Raw, we all knew that Becky Lynch was going to win the match.
Kind of lame, though.
Yeah,
they only do that with these titles, man. Like, can somebody just win one-on-one, mano-y-mano?
No, because they have to try to get as many people as they can on the show. That's why.
Like, it's supposed to be fake ass fighting. So
yeah,
now you're trying to be fake ass fighting with an extra person in the ring to lose your title. That doesn't make any sense.
Because they're not going to have one of their arguably biggest stars on that roster not be at the pay-per-view. So you know they're going to put Becky Lynch on there in some capacity, even if she takes the fall, which I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up
taking the
pin to no, I don't think she's winning the belt. I think Bianca's going to hold on to it.
Into the WWE real quick, I wanted to go back to the AEW when you touched on Athena debuting tonight at Double or Nothing. I mean, she didn't come in and have a match, I don't think. She came in. By the way, since she left WWE, she's been wrestling as Athena on the independent scene since she's left WWE. So
what was her name in WWE?
Ember Moon.
Oh, she's great.
And she's good. That's a good addition.
So she's been known as Athena on the independent scene since she left WWE. And I think I believe what she came in tonight during Anna Jay Cargill match. I believe some involvement with that match. And I was looking like she could potentially be the one to come in, maybe be the one that really gives challenges Jay Cargill for that title. Maybe gives her first loss, maybe even, because Jay Cargill right now is kind of building up this Goldberg-like reputation as far as this amazing win streak. She's undefeated so far in AEW. She has this TBS title or TNT, whatever one it is, title on. You know what I mean? She's looking pretty unstoppable, looking like I was talking about Hogan in the earlier part of the show, an immortal. Like no one can touch her.
She's the best woman on that roster in terms of her look. No other woman right now has her skill.
But with Athena coming in now, Athena would definitely be a step up in class from people that she has been taking on. Honestly, to be quite frank, because the AEW women's division is not built with a lot of strong female talent. I mean, they have a couple of good chicks, but you know what I mean. Overall, I think
Sasha
Athena,
Banks.
Yeah, Athena really brings it up a notch, to level up a notch. So I think that's a possibility we could see somewhere soon coming down the pike and see Athena Jay Cargill storyline where maybe that streak finally ends, because everything has to come to an end sooner or later. So
yeah,
I think she'd be a legitimate.
Do you know if MJF showed up?
Jay Cargill off.
He did. He showed up and got squashed. Yeah, he got squashed.
That was actually the first match of the night. MJF against Wardlow.
Well, I know. Jeff was mentioning that he may not be there. I didn't know if it was true or not, if he showed up or not. So
he's having contract disputes. He's having definite contract disputes.
Yeah, it's similar to what Sasha and Naomi are doing right now, but at least he did show up for the match. He just pretty much got his ass whooped by Wardlow, and then he got left on a stretcher. So it was just pretty much a way to get to write him off TV right now, especially with like the boiling heat that he's been going through with that
Well,
company.
that's good. So that's good writing.
Yeah,
Good
I
writing.
mean,
As far as
get him off
WWE
TV,
stuff,
cool things
man,
off.
I was disappointed with WWE TV this week. I thought it was about 5 hours of my life I wish I could have got back. I mean, the NXT show wasn't horrible, but at the same time, it wasn't even that great this week either.
No.
And
I'll take it summer vacations, I guess.
but SmackDown and Raw, those two shows to me were absolutely atrocious this week. All 5 hours of it was a joke. SmackDown was a complete waste of time. I don't even know what SmackDown was even all about on
It was
Saturday
stupid.
night.
Yeah, it was
That
stupid.
It was so
just
helter skelter, like
ridiculous.
all over the place. Like you have
It
New
made
Day
no
with
sense.
McIntyre, you have New Day with McIntyre, and then you had the fucking Usos, and I don't even know who else they had.
Oh,
You have
Shinsuke and Riddle. Like now,
you have
that's gonna be
RK
the
Bro,
new team.
and yeah, like although I like RK Bro, and I think that would be a good tag team, him and Shinsuke. I think that would work out as well. But give them. I'm tired of these Usos. The bloodline is boring. It's time to move on. You're really killing your product. They're basically forcing it down our throats, week in and week
That's
out.
exactly what
Saying,
they're doing.
saying, "Hey, we're WWE. You're gonna like us. Too bad." Because it's like, listen, I like Roman Reigns or whatever, but like they're acting like he's the best champion I've ever seen. He doesn't transcend the sport. He doesn't, make me get goosebumps when his music hits. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not a legend to me. So don't keep forcing him down there because you have some unwritten rule with the Rock's family, the Noah family, who, by the way, he's probably going to leave for movies anyways at some point.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns. And I'm hoping Hollywood scoops him up sooner rather than later because I'm tired of looking at this guy.
I mean, they're doing the same thing with the Usos too. They're pretty much making these two guys absolutely unbeatable. Where no tag team is even going to be able to touch them at this point.
And they're not even a great tag team. They're not even a great tag team. They just happen to be in a shitty era where their tag team gimmick worked and they have less guys to fight every year. I mean, like, they're the only name another tag team like in the WWE. I got what, Alpha Academy?
The Viking Raiders, who are wallowing
so
around
got
right now
two?
in NXT. There really are no tag teams. I mean, if you want tag team wrestling, just go over to All Elite Wrestling. That's what the tag teams are. I mean, if you want legit tag team wrestling, go to AEW.
WWE shoves these dumb tag team matches down my throat, which would never see because you're too lazy to put them in a singles match or build up any storyline. So you match them together in this triple threat or tag team match bonanza, and all we get to see is like their finishing move. Yeah, there's a pop, but there's no storyline. It's short circuits every week.
Now, you just said it right there. There's no consistent storyline and all. It's like the writing staff just goes in there and it's like they give up before they even start the show. It's like, oh, okay, we're just going to throw this stuff together, make it work. Have the guys go out there, do the little moves and
They
everything.
give up on
just say
things
whatever
way
they
too
say.
fast. They
They
break
do.
things up. They put good factions together and break them up as fast as they put them together. It's just ridiculous what they do. But here's something I got from a guy. His name is Will Ospreay. He's a wrestler in New Japan, one of the a top performer over in New Japan.
Yeah.
And I guess he was asked a question about WWE, and he made a little quote. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just kind of summarize it. He was saying that WWE, the wrestlers they're actors. You know what I mean? You guys aren't wrestlers; that they're actors more so than he's not saying it to say that they can't wrestle. He still respects them as their athletic ability, their talents, and everything, their ability. But he's just saying, on that platform, you don't get an opportunity to show off the wrestling aspect enough.
That's right. That's why
everything
Vince McMahon calls them superstores.
Everything
Sports
is more
entertainers.
about
Sports entertainers.
everything is more about the acting and all the backstage segments and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
They are good.
As opposed to putting on the good, great matches in the ring, which I do believe most of the other organizations are a lot better at than WWE, putting on great matches actually in the ring. You know what I mean? So
they're more based on that. They're more based on the in-ring style, where WWE is more about the entertainment.
He was just saying he understands he can make more money in WWE, but he was explaining to whatever reporter that's why he would never sign with WWE is because he wants to wrestle and he doesn't want to be an actor. He wants to be a wrestler.
Well,
So he's
but the point about wrestling is I get it, it's a show, right? It's like a theatric show. You go to watch fucking 42nd Street on Broadway. It's the same fucking shit, right? It's you got these actors, these gimmicks, this it plays out. But at the end of the day, if I wanted to watch a soap opera, I put on All My Children or fucking Days of Our Lives throughout the day. All right, I want like my soap opera is supposed to end with a metal garbage can going over your head because you don't like what somebody said. Oh yeah, well I'm gonna kick your ass, metal garbage can to your face. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like ooh, let's make this person sad. Let's make this person sad. Ronda Rousey can't even damn talk. Okay, you got a woman flexing in the middle of the ring, and these other girls are like, yeah, well let's lock her in a room and get our chance. Like, give me a damn break. This is all you got, Vince McMahon? Vince, man, I know you're old.
He gave up. He gave Adam, he gave up. He's given up at this point. Vince McMahon is given up in terms of writing good television. He just doesn't care anymore. He knows that he's got like 1 foot out the door. He just doesn't give a damn, and he's writing. He comes in late to the scripts, like 7, 8 o'clock. He's ripping up scripts every single second, giving me up these bogus rules all the time. He's given up on actually trying to put on quality television, and that's the most infuriating part, because if WWE and Vince McMahon actually cared, this would be the best company in terms of wrestling, in terms of production, in terms of everything. No company would be able to touch WWE, but they don't care. Nobody cares except for the wrestlers.
And NBA, man, world game 7 going into the halftime right now. The Miami Dolphins went on the Miami Heat went on a run. The Miami Heat, they went on a run and close out the second.
Tyreek Hill scored a couple of touchdowns.
The second quarter, close out the second quarter, and the score is 55-49. Boston going to the half. So Miami has definitely closed the gap, and Jimmy Butler is out here flexing.
Butler's been on fire in the second half.
But I guess that's a good way to kind of close it out. And we'll give a nice update on this game, our thoughts, and then we can probably, call it a night. But it looks like Miami's closing the gap. I want to say this about Miami. When you play from behind, right, and you have to fight your way to get back in. Look at how sweaty Jimmy Butler is. No weirdness. No weirdness. I'm just saying, he's working hard out there. And people know that if you have to keep climbing in a lead, when you come back, will you have enough energy to finish off the team? Because right now they close the gap. Hopefully they come out in the third quarter and close the gap even closer. But if you continue to play from behind, I hope that Miami can rise up, because that takes a lot of energy to keep the pedal to the metal for all 4 quarters.
Absolutely, and knowing Miami Heat, I'm hoping that they can, and they've been doing it all playoffs, and they like to be tested, in a sense of they really wasn't tested so much the first round due to the nothing against the Hawks. I mean, like, I'm not trying to sit up here and diss the Hawks, but that being said, I mean, like, this series, just talking about Boston in this series, these games have been like this. I'm not kind of surprised that Boston went in and kind of came out firing. Everybody kind of made their shots. But then did end up dying down, and Miami, like Adam said, has been trying to come back. Never had the lead the entire game. Still don't have the lead going into the half, but still dropped it from at one point, I believe, a 14 point game to a 5-point game, a 4-point game. So that being said, like, Jimmy Butler playing outstanding. I know Boston's bench been playing amazing ball. Miami's bench needs to step up. We need to take smarter shots. We just can't go out there and rush our shots. I believe, if I'm correct, Boston leads in steals and stuff like that. So that being said, like, Miami needs to, just keep on playing the tough basketball that we know we can play. Get the crowd into this game. The crowd should really be chanting defense right about now. I unmute this so I can hear it after the stream. But I just need Miami to play good defense, and we'll climb back into this game. We have the shooters to climb back into this game. But Boston as a team, Boston Story has been absolutely playing amazing this game. They're hungry. It's game 7. Everybody's hungry. Everybody wants it, but it comes down to who wants it more. And I'm hoping it's going to be my team in Miami Heat. And I'm confident it will be Miami Heat. The crowd will get into it, and let's get it. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping we can make the finals and we can discuss Golden State because that's a different nightmare. That being said, I'll pass the mic to Jeffrey or Mac.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it's going to have to do with. I mean, Miami's done a nice job getting back into this game. Boston has made a couple of turnovers, but Miami's been knocking down some shots. Jimmy Butler looks like a man possessed again. I mean, he pretty much is helping will that team right now to the NBA Finals.
It's like Kawhi Leonard with the Raptors a couple years ago, man.
Yeah, he's just been literally willing this team right now to the NBA Finals. Ben Adebayo has been playing pretty solid so far. Oladipo has been so far a big difference and a big help to that team as he's been rounding into form. But I just think that when it comes down to it, Boston is just that team. They just have the better team. And when it comes down to the crunch time, I think those guys on Boston are going to be able to get the job done. I just think that Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown are going to be able to make those clutch shots. Marcus Smart is eventually just going to become that big-time pest. He's just going to annoy the hell out of Lowry, annoy the hell out of Butler, and just make one of those big-time steals or blocks, even draw some charges. And I just think that Boston is eventually going to take this in the end. I think it's going to be like I think it's going to be like a 3-point game at most. But it's been a really fun game so far. Credit to Miami to getting back into it. But I just think ultimately Boston's going to be able to take it in the end.
Well, I'm going to say these 2 words again, man. Mental toughness. I just believe this Miami Heat team is more mentally, even in this game right now, this game could have easily already have gotten away from them. Easily. Yet they're still battling their way back because this team is mentally tough. And right now, where Boston might seem like the better team on paper right now, Miami Heat, they got it up here, man. This team has a certain will to win. That's why they were the number 1 team in the East, and they want to go out there and continue to prove why they were the number 1 seed in the East, not the Boston Celtics or the Milwaukee Bucks or any other teams that people may have questioned or thought were better than the Miami Heat. This team is the number 1 team in Eastern Conference coming into these playoffs, and I know the way these playoffs have been playing out so far, the way this series is playing out, it's like Boston has a little bit more control of the series right now. But at the same time, this is Game 7. This is do or die, and I think one thing that is to be said is, as down as the Miami Heat were early in this game, they still have not given up, and they have now gotten all the way back into this game, and they got Boston right in their sights now. And if Boston comes out even half-stepping a little bit in this second half, Miami will open it up on their ass because that's what this Miami Heat team does.
Hey, Mac, I just got 2 words for you. I got 2 words for you, Mac. And the reason why Miami might win that mental toughness, Jimmy Butler. That guy right there, Jimmy Butler, will be the reason why if Miami Heat make it to the finals. That dude is just right now, like Adam just said, he's on a Kawhi level right now. The way he's been playing, that guy just cannot be stopped. You throw anybody at him, you throw any type of defense, he's still making the plays. Defense, offense, anything. That's the guy right now. And if they're going to go to the finals, it's going to be Jimmy Butler. That's going to be the reason why.
So you say they're heating up? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I had to bring the dad.
Jimmy Butler, he's been a really great player, one of our superstar on the Miami Heat. That being said, though, also I'm not trying to discount Bam, but that being said, I do have outstanding respect for Jimmy Butler, and I'm not only just talking about this playoffs. He's shown it the team the couple years ago when we faced the Lakers. Just getting to the Lakers in the bubble. He's shown it then that he's just getting to a next level. He's Super Saiyan Butler in the playoffs, and then now showing in this whole series and even the games before that. But just this main last 2, and hopefully not just talking out of my ass, but having played another half. He's going to have another half, but he's looking like Super Saiyan 2 Butler. Well, so that being said, I'm hoping that he just keeps on playing at a high level, and I'm confident that we'll take this game. I mean, exactly what Max said, I 100% agree. Facts on facts on facts on facts on facts.
He's very happy right now.
Yeah, but I don't want to dismiss your point, Jeff, because your point was highly it could happen too because we were talking about when you mentioned Marcus Smart, we were talking about someone that did win the Defensive Player of the Year, and I don't want to dismiss that because of the fact that he easily shown that he could guard Butler and he could guard anybody on this Miami Heat team. So if Boston comes out with that, that mental toughness too, like that they've shown throughout the they are the second ranked team in the Eastern too, and that could amount to a really 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 great half. I just think once we get back in it, which we're showing too, 11 and 2-1 at the end of the half. Once that crowd gets involved, it's going to be really hard for the Celtics to communicate.
Like I agree. Like I said, Boston very talented basketball team, but the way they came out early in this game, got up. I believe they were up by 15 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to step on the team's throat at that point, especially here in this game, in this game 7, man. You got to figure out a way to step on the team's throat and get them out of there. I mean, it's still early in the game. There's still a lot of basketball to be played.
Yep.
But at the same time, the fact that you let them go on a run at home and get this crowd back into this game right now, that's not what you needed as a Boston Celtic. You just didn't need that right now here in this important game 7. When you had them on the ropes, you should have kept their ass on the ropes. And now you gave them some signs of life again. And it could be that snowball effect happening for them as they come out. And
I'm not dismissing Boston shooters, but now you're playing with a team that 75% of Miami's roster can bomb threes. So it's kind of like
playing with fire.
Boston can bomb threes too.
Boston can bomb threes, but when I'm talking about playing from behind, 6 points,
It'll be the
is
rebound.
something that can disappear really quickly.
It's got to be a
threes, then we'll be right back into this game. We could be back into. I'm not trying to jinx it, but it's not gonna. We could be back in this game in the first 2 minutes of the third quarter.
Well, you're back in the game now. You're only down by 6.
Yeah, so
exactly. I mean, like tie it up.
Let's
we
see.
knocked
Let's
down
see.
the 3. We played defense. We knocked down another 3. We're right there. Tie game.
Let's see. This is why they play the games. This is why this is Game 7, folks. This has been Premium Takes. Let me get my guys out of here for you tonight. I got Zion Zenith.
Oh, Adam, we didn't touch on one more. Well, you didn't touch on one more important thing. That's the New York Rangers. One little quick thing on the New York Rangers. They're also heading to a Game 7 after a very impressive 5-2 victory last night. So,
right.
The hometown New York Rangers are going to be going to the.
I should have touched on those guys. Get 2 Game 7s. We'll see what happens. I know it's in Carolina, and somehow they clam up there in Carolina. But let's see if they can steal one on the road. It should be fun. The Rangers have a never say die attitude. They're the cardiac team right now. You think they're dead, and they come back and win a couple games in a row. So we'll see. Monday is going to be great. I mean, if you got nothing to do because you've been home barbecuing, eating all your foods and everything like that, let's do that. What are you guys doing tomorrow, guys? Do you got anything special going on? Any barbecues you guys are headed to?
Just make some rounds, find some barbecues to go to. It's always going to be somebody going to be firing up that grill if I'm not doing it my damn self. So I'll find my way to somebody's barbecue. Always give me a couple plates here and there. I got them big guy and I like to eat. So get my grub on.
I love it.
Always welcome at my house, man. I got steaks going on the grill.
I love it.
Jeff, Zion, any plans for you guys tomorrow?
I actually work tomorrow, but that's okay. I'm gonna come home and have a good dinner, so I'm good. She's just working.
Yeah, I'm just gonna probably be working pretty much tomorrow. I already did the barbecue thing today, so tomorrow I'm just gonna be busy working. So, but either way, I hope everybody has a fantastic Memorial Day. Enjoy the nice weather. It's gonna be beautiful out tomorrow, especially if you're in the metropolitan area. It's gonna be really nice. So just go out there and enjoy the first unofficial day of the summer.
I'm going to be clogging my arteries with maybe some hot dogs in the morning and some steaks in the afternoon. So, going to double round grill for me. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
and one
folks,
last rest in peace to Ray Liotta too, man. Shout out Ray Liotta.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Let's give the good fella. Good fella left us too early. One of the most classic gangster kind of looking mobster guys. Iconic movie that he was in. Will never be forgotten. And Ray Liotta, gone too soon. May his legacy keep us
one
going.
of the most iconic snitches in ever in the
Go
world.
watch
History.
Goodfellas. Get yourselves up to date with probably, arguably one of the best mobster movies of all time, if not
Absolutely.
in the top, at least top 2 or 3. We can
It's
It's in
debate
my
those.
top 5. It's in my top 5 easily.
Well, we can debate that in another show. Maybe that will do one premium takes movie style. Who
Yes,
knows?
because I
Who
do
knows?
want to review Stranger Things, which you guys haven't watched it yet, but there's a bunch. There's Stranger Things, the Obi-Wan series just came out. There's a bunch of
Yes.
series that's coming out that we have. I never watched it yet, but we want. I don't know if you guys are a fan of Doctor Strange, but that Doctor Strange, we got a lot of movies coming out. We got
And Maverick. Maverick's getting a lot of
Mavericks
good
just came out.
reviews.
Absolutely.
Oh, I can't wait. But I'm going to go see Jurassic Park before I see Matt.
Yeah,
But
Dominion, Jurassic Park. Let's get it.
like I said,
I'm a movie buff. Like, I love movies more than the Giants. No, I'm sure. I love
you
them.
can save that for premium takes on movies. But right now we're premium takes, and we are signing off on this Memorial Day, guys. Give your channels a shout out where these people can find you. Let me give them a little something before we go.
Go ahead,
Well,
Jeff.
You can find me at MYG Jeffrey T3285. I just covered the New York Giants, the New York Mets, the Brooklyn Nets, and WWE wrestling, as well as a couple of other little things like food for thought. In case some kind of little delicious food dishes I like to throw out there sometime, give them something different. And of course, 1/4 of the legendary Four Horsemen. Throw up them fours, everybody. Throw up them fours for the Four Horsemen of the premium takes. Let's go.
Zion Zenith on YouTube. Let's get it. Miami Heat Nation. You know what it is. Go ahead, man.
You already see it. Mac the Giants fan. MACDA Giants fan. You're going to catch me there. Dropping the New York Giants info, man. Catch me behind the wheel. Sometimes, you know what I mean, you'll see my boy, me and my guy, Adam Costas, breaking down the NFC East come the regular season each and every Wednesday night. And we're going to be throwing in some off-season episodes here and there throughout the off-season process as well. So make sure you tune in for all of those. And guess what? You can catch us, all 4 of us gentlemen here every Sunday. Premium takes with the Horsemen. Let's go.
The Four Horsemen. We're going to be riding off in the sunset this Sunday. But just to plug you guys, my shows, the Hurry Up. I talk about everything football, sports. We got premium takes, like Max said. The show NFC Roundup is fire. Go get it. It's already scorching up the YouTube charts. But like I said, we got premium takes on Sunday. We're out. We're getting off these horses. We're desaddling, and we're good. We're having a good night. You people, we'll see you next week. I'm out.
Peace.
Peace.